Mike Dolson,
I'm here.
Tom McDonald,
Here.
Jennifer Finley,
Here.
Jim Molitor, Carol Langford, Danielle Matt,
Here.
Bing Matt,
Here.
James Steele Jr.,
Una.
Martin Charlo,
Present.
Len Tooteeth, Lanish Trahan.
Jennifer, will you give us a prayer this morning?
This morning, I say prayers of thanks that we're all here and that our government is still functioning. And I say prayers of thanks for all the workers in our tribe who keep everything going and provide good services to the membership. And I say prayers of thanks for this land that we're on and all of the leaders and all of the tribal members before us who protected it to make sure that we have it for today. And I pray for the babies who are about to be born and all the children of our tribe that they may grow up to be strong, to continue to protect this land, to continue to make sure that we exist. Lemlemsh.
Thank you, Jennifer. We actually have 3 sets of minutes this morning. We have September 18th that was put off, and then we have September 30th and October 3rd. So if we go to September 18th.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead, Tom.
just one correction for the September 18th minutes. When James is giving his report on his trip to the Canadian conference, I made a comment. The mitigation would be enforceable by courts, Canadian courts. It may be enforced, but I could insert the word may.
Hey, good morning, everybody.
Then we're looking at the September 18th minute.
September 18, gotcha. Morning, everybody. Good morning.
Motion by Martin to approve the September 18th minutes. Second by Tom. All in favor? Jimmy abstains, otherwise everybody else. We got 9-4 and Jimmy abstained. Next we have the September 30th minutes.
Yeah, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Yeah, in the minutes there, I made a comment about housing issues and was reflecting upon a rental that I may have open in Ronan, and it just states that. But the comment was that I have a long list of people wanting to rent it, demonstrating a severe shortage of housing. So either I would offer to add with a long list of people wanting to rent it, or just delete the sentence. Either or works for me.
I guess it depends on if you want it advertised or not.
It doesn't matter. It's going to get rented, so I don't need the advertisement. It just demonstrates that there's this housing shortage. It's incredible.
Yeah. So you can say that Tom rents houses and knows that there's long lists of people waiting for housing.
That's pretty. I should have said that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Go ahead, James.
Motion to approve the September 30th minutes with corrections.
Motion by James to approve the September 30th minutes. Tom?
Just one more correction. I just we were reflecting on the symposium that James went to. We were talking to Tony Incasola Jr. about hosting the next transboundary mining conference. And in that section in the minutes, we should put that title in for the symposium, boundary mining symposium, and then talk about the upper UCUT, which we need to add the word river, Upper Columbia River tribes, not just Upper Columbia tribes. Thank you.
Motion by James, second by Tom to approve the September 30th minute. All in favor? We're unanimous.
Mr. Charles abstain.
Oh, Danielle?
Abstain.
Danielle will abstain on the September 30th minutes. And that gives us to the October 3rd minute. Good, Carol.
I have something to share. My little guy walked to school for the first time today.
That's
It was
awesome.
unbelievable.
There you go.
I cried. I mean, he's 9, but he made it. No, just around the corner.
Motion to approve October 3 minutes.
Motion by Len to approve the October 3rd minutes.
Second.
Second by James. We got a correction by Martin.
If it's all right with the council, I need to send Abby my update. It'll be real short and sweet. Like 3 sentences.
Thank you, Martin. An update.
Really early.
I got a motion by Len and a second by James to approve the October 3rd minutes. All in favor? At 9-4
Abstain.
and Danielle abstains. That takes care of the minutes. Well, we have an agenda for today. Anybody have it? Anything for the agenda? Martin?
Just that I'll be leaving at probably 11 for a doctor's appointment. I'll stay on Zoom, but probably be back if we have afternoon session.
Carol, Tom, then Carol.
Just one item. Quick
Oh.
one.
Yeah.
I don't know. You give me.
Jennifer,
One executive walk-in.
one executive walk-in. And I do have one issue. Anything else? If not, I'd welcome a motion to accept the agenda. Motion by Len to approve the agenda with additions. Second by Jimmy. All in favor? We're unanimous. Well, Martin's already give his. We're looking at exec. Tom?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Quickly, I wanted to get tribal council's concurrence to offer up knowledge of any property that we might own within the city limits of Missoula as another qualifying factor for us to obtain a resident fee schedule for any of the city operations and parks and recreation, like for their splash pads or swim parks. And it's quite a discount if you're a city resident versus a off reservation or outside of the city limits. So I would ask the lands department to provide the information that we might have for property we own within the city limits of Missoula. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, thank you.
No objection, is there? We're cool. Carol, did you have an issue? Okay. With that, we will go out of regular into executive for the walk-in and executive. Go ahead, Carol. Carol makes the motion to allow for a retest. And we will look at the policy to see if all of the ECS positions have to be drug testing positions.
And Carrie, thank you for fighting for your employees too.
Got a second by Tom. All in favor? We're unanimous. So get another test and keep working.
Or,
We'll work with Renee.
okay. Thank you.
guys. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mike.
Council.
Oh.
We will go out of regular into executive. I'd take a motion on Mr. Morjo's judge position. Motion by Tom to approve the resolution and contract for Dave Morjo. Get a second? Second by Lynn. All in favor? We're unanimous. And then is there any objection to moving forward with reinstalling Dan DePoe on the Mission Valley Power Board? Motion by Bing. Second by Jimmy. All in favor? 9-4. Carol abstains. Thank you all. That leads us finally to our agenda. Ruthie, handy? Okay. Squackst.
To our first issue, we have a revision to this request. There will be an increased request for a total of 107,784. I received additional requests on behalf of NRD DFWRC. So we will actually amend the request to include, besides those three items, we will add it's in there. The letter does include it, I'm sorry. But the budget amount is more than the 53 too. So we're requesting those 6 items. We usually learn, it's hard to tell now with this current shutdown, but we usually hear about halfway through the current year whether we get awarded the funding, and then it'll come down through our self-governance agreement. So requesting approval for Chairman Dolson to sign the letter of request and transmit to Northwest Regional Office.
Motion by Tom to approve the letter. Second by Danielle.
Update.
All in favor? We're unanimous. Let's get some money.
Very good, thank you. They have consistently approved our requests. They will not entertain a request for staffing, but they will approve requests for things like equipment and training and other one-time needs. So we're pretty hopeful for that. The next request is to approve your fiscal 26 spending authorities for your non-appropriated programs. These are programs that operate on their own generated revenue or receipt. So those include Tribal Credit, the Early Childhood Daycare Center, Gray Wolf Mobile Park, and Quicksilver Express. Each of those resolutions are very similar. What they address is that the the operating revenue is what they generate for themselves, and they should not be exceeding that, what their actual revenues are.
Yeah, we'll do them
Yeah,
individually.
there's 4 resolutions.
So, resolution for the credit program. Motion by Martin. Second by Bing, all in favor? We're unanimous. Next one. Resolution for early childhood services, motion by Tom. Second by Martin, all in favor? We're good there.
Okay.
Unanimous. Quicksilver Express.
This is one I'm awaiting Mr. Sias to give me the actual amount. So that's why it has the XXX in there. So when I receive that, this one will have to come back. My apologies.
Okay.
I think when I did the request, I was hoping I'd get it back, but
We'll
it's
hold
not
off
coming.
on it.
We'll do that one later. Oh, 2+ million, I believe. It's fairly substantial budget.
Resolution for Grey Wolf Park. Motion by Martin. Second by Bing, all in favor? We're unanimous.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I will forward that revised letter for the request to BIA Northwest. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Patty. Lynn,
Before we go on, I wanted to just briefly, bring up Koryakin Village. We've never really had any in-depth discussion about, what we're gonna be doing with this rather than, managing as it currently is. As many of you that were on council back then, the original intent was to purchase these properties to complement Grey Wolf Casino operations. Since then, we have not had any type of plan come forward or any proposed plan. I know there's a lot of issues with the property in regards to infrastructure, utilities, et cetera, but still, I feel that we're missing out on an economic development endeavor that could really benefit us if we were to plan this based on our original intent of the property. Is right now, as I understand it, the property is currently used as a trailer rentals for non-members. I'm not sure if we have any tribal members in there at all. I don't know that, but from what I've understand, that's all we have is there is non-members. But I just wanted to bring this up because I think it's an important issue that we need to start preliminary planning on how we're going to start transitioning out of how we are currently utilizing this property. So just wanted to mention that. Thank you.
thanks, Lynn. Tanya?
Well, thank you, Len, for bringing that up. I don't know, I don't go to Grey Wolf often, but when I do, they're really short-staffed and workforce housing is a need. Or up in that area. It's affordable. They're more affordable. Those rents there, our tribal members should be getting those low rents and they're not. It's hard when you go into our casino and restaurant and they don't have enough staff to keep the doors open during business hours. So if we were going to do anything in the near future without putting all the dollars into it, I would suggest Grey Wolf workforce housing. But I mean, we've got to make that benefit our membership and not the non-members on our reservation. Thank you.
Carol?
State, look, I looked at other trailer spots, they're anywhere from $400 to $700. And I think that maybe actually go down to 200 or 150. or less, but it's outrageous to even find a place to place a trailer. I know there's a couple of good trailers out, there, but you can't find a place affordable to rent, so I really think we need to work hard at, and that would be a great place for them. Even with a gooseneck trailer or something.
Jimmy?
Yeah, thank you, Jim. I just wanted to say that I've sent a couple of people, a couple of tribal members down there with the small trailers to try to rent a spot down there, and they were told there was nothing. And then I've been back down there, and they've filled the spot I was talking about. So it was, and the last one I went to, went in there. There's a huge trailer right in the very front. It's a big trailer. It reaches from both roads. And that was empty, and I sent a tribal member down there to ask about that, and they had a bunch of logs in there, and they've since cleaned it out for this big trailer, but you know, they just didn't entertain the tribal members. So, I don't know. I don't know who's managing it or taking care of it, but I don't know. It doesn't favor any tribal members.
It was purchased with the intent to supplement gaming across the street, and it just hasn't never got done. You know, and I think bringing up an idea for supplemental housing for not the reserve, but Gray Wolf across the street, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think we do need a report on who's managing it, who gets to say so over it. We own it, but who's running it, who's managing it, who's, you know, Jimmy, the people you've sent there, who told them no, or who told them what, was it lands or? So I definitely request a report on that property. Who's making the decisions on it? How many people do we have there? How many tribal members do we have there? How many non-members? How many vacant spots? And what can we be doing to supplement homes for workers there? I know a number of folks that are commuting from Mission to there every day. So definitely, I request a report on who's managing it, how many tribal members are there, how many non-members, how many spots there are. I know 20 years ago we knew, but I don't know who now. Yeah, and how much they're charging. Yeah, how much they're charging for a trailer spot. Yeah, absolutely. Because I know I was helping a couple people, family and community members trying to find spots, and you can get the trailer, but then you got to move it, and that's thousands. Then if you can find a spot, that's hundreds and maybe thousands as well. So, but I was also trying to figure out, can we buy that home next door and clean it up? And anyway.
I'm pretty sure the last word we had was that economic development manages that trailer park. Yeah. And that there was actually a budget item for it besides this. And I was amazed that was in place. So we'll do some discovery. We got Dana Pewacorn. Hi, Dana.
Good morning. Well, I'm a little bit jealous in some of our food sovereignty crew this morning. They're going down to Missoula for a field trip of Missoula's Garden City Harvest Network. That's a gardening network down in Missoula that Commissioner Josh Slotnick played a huge role in. So he really helped us create that relationship, and they've got some really good gardens. So we've got our gardening crew going down to take a look at what they're doing down there. So with that being said, I'll be presenting our request to be able to apply for this Growing Justice Fund grant. And so I think you have some information in your packets, but if you just do a quick Google search of Growing Justice Fund, it looks like a pretty good group. They're a pooled fund co-designed by funders, farmers, advocates, food suppliers, purchasers, and community partners from Native and non-Native communities across the country, aimed at advancing equity in the food system by investing in efforts to solidify the leadership, dignity, and power of tribal, Indigenous, Black, Latinx, Asian, and immigrant people, to identify and drive solutions that expand the market for good food purchasing. And so they have a grant opportunity. We learned about it through the Headwaters Foundation. And so the due date is next week. So we wanted to make sure we got this in front of you guys for your approval. But what we're looking at, they have a few different opportunities. Grants range from between $25,000 and $50,000. And they have planning and implementation grants, building infrastructure grants, and cultivating traditional food pathways to build community wealth in tribal nations. So with all that being said, what we're hoping to do with this grant is really develop infrastructure. So establishing a central facility with dry storage, cold storage, to serve as a hub for aggregating and distributing local and regional foods. We've had to start with the Kicking Horse Food Sovereignty Center to start doing some distribution, but we really want to bolster that with, like I said, that walk-in cooler and dry storage. We just talked yesterday about possibly helping with the bison distribution, so that would go a long way there. Coordinated procurement will align food purchasing across key tribal institutions. I know Dana's had conversations with Early Childhood Services, Two Eagle River School, Elder Service, Salish Kootenai College, to really try to get healthy, cultural, meaningful foods reaching all those different entities and be the hub that distributes to those entities. And then policy and systems change, trying to create a tribal food procurement policy that prioritizes tribal, Indigenous, and local food producers. Long-term, we're exploring a bi-tribal first policy to strengthen tribal economies. So we just hope that if we're successful in getting this grant funding, it can really support taking the next step at Kicking Horse to create that food hub so we can get local foods to our tribal programs, tribal institutions, and tribal folks. So that's what we're just asking approval for, is to be able to apply for that grant. Grants range from $25,000 to $250,000. And so I think we'll be applying for the maximum that we can and see where we land.
Good. Got a motion by Carol. Second by Jennifer. All in favor of moving forward to get a grant? Unanimous.
All right, well, keep your fingers crossed for us, and thank you guys.
Thank you, Dana. The Graywell Park.
Just was able to get Mark here now, and it is Lance, not Janet anymore.
Oh, okay. Mark, can you give us a little report on
You might need to get him up to speed on it. I don't.
the Graywell Park, and wanting to know how many tribal renters, what the lot fees are, that kind of stuff.
Tribal Lands inherited the Grey Wolf Park from Janet last October. We took it over underneath our management. At that time, we took a look at the leases themselves, and there were no tribal members at all in there. There was, I think, one descendant at the time. The rest of the individuals in there have been in there pretty much since the conception. Some of them have been there from the conception of Grey Wolf Park as an economic adventure for the tribes. Going through it, we noticed that the lease itself was a little lacking. We were way underneath the fair market for just even Missoula County for trailer courts. That's why these individuals were not leaving. Their trailers are not up to code for other trailer parks, so that's why they're there also. So Desi and I sat down and had an internal discussion at the office, and then we decided that we should be looking at revamping the entire lease structure on it, having some tribal lingo in there and some CFR quotes, and having it representing the tribes and not how it was presented before. Rentals were way low, like I said, so we actually went and had legal review the contracts. I believe they are all completed now and being implemented January 1st. They did not have an expiration date on them, and I think we have them for a 1-year lease on them now instead of just open-ended. Let's see, I think there's 13 lots total that are with hookups and everything. Housing does all the water monitoring. We have the rental now set at $700 to $800. $375 base.
The shed is additional 100, and then if they have a garage.
Okay, so it's $375 base right now, but when the new contracts come in. Okay, we're at the same base level. If you have a driveway, a shed on it, you have an additional 100 cost to it, and if you have a rent a garage also is an additional 100. There is a manager on the property that comes in daily and checks the garbage. It's Jason Miller, Katie Miller's husband from Contracts and Grants. Janet contracted him out for that position before she had left it into our control. We would like to see that potentially as actually even workforce development area is one of my thoughts on that whole process. That area would be great for workforce development for Grey Wolf. It would be an excellent spot for trailers. Individuals down there with the tiny home type things could be placed in there, and they could be tribally owned or at the casino owned, and they could be bringing in workforce to be working at the Grey Wolf area. Yeah, but right now there is, I think all 13 units are rented right now. 13 units. I believe every one of them are non-members.
What's are those individual wells or what's the water source?
It is a community well system through housing. And it just feeds all the 13 lots. Anything else?
Go ahead, Lynn.
Being as part of SKHA water system, are we paying their water bill or are they paying their own water bill?
We pay the testing, tenants pay the usage.
Carol?
It makes me really sad. I know I could never live down there because of my district thing, but as hard as I looked, and I even talked to you, said there's nothing in Ronan. I mean, it just makes me sick to my stomach to think how many tribal members could live there. I mean, that's 16 or 13 places. I think we need to work on some kind of notice to move them off. I don't know how we do that. I know there's rules and regulations to all that, but
Is $375 fair market value?
No,
That's what we inherited it as.
that's what it was inherited at to us. Yeah, and it's up to 800 and some down in Missoula.
Go ahead, Lynn.
I would like to start the planning process and start the transitioning of notifying these people on January 1 of 26 that the tribes are planning on utilizing this property for the membership. and that they need to start planning on looking at other places to go. I mean, this property was purchased with tribal dollars, and we should be allowing our membership to be using this property now. As much as I hate to kick anybody out of any place, but that's just a fact. Is that property belongs to the membership. But anyway, I don't know what the tenure of the existing contracts are now, but I think we should start notifying them that we're starting a planning process of utilizing this property for the membership or for the workforce. But
Is there a termination clause in the present contracts?
Termination clause.
30-day written.
30-day written notice.
Tom?
Mr. Chair, given the consideration that, like Carol described, and this, we need to provide equal access to our membership to all of our resources. I would recommend we give them 30 days notice right now that we're jacking up the rent to $1,000 a month so we can provide for infrastructure here in the Mission Valley or elsewhere for trailers, or we retrofit that location with tribal members. I would do it immediately, given the fact that there's not one tribal household in our only tribal member or our tribally owned trailer park. I find that very dismal. So I would do it right away. If it's a cancellation, then we just cancel them all, start over again. If there's other process to increase the rent to fair market rent, it's ridiculous that we're only charging $375 for lot rent. That's unexcusable. That's actually gross negligence by us. So I find it very troubling, given what rent in Missoula goes for a trailer house. Rent goes for a trailer house here. I would go immediately with the 30-day notice, give them notice right now.
James?
Yeah, I think on the, when we get into the planning of it, I think we could probably look at trying to expand it, see if it could fit more spots in there as well. I know it's in a circle, kind of a circle. I'm looking at the map of it, but I'm wondering how many acres is there? How big is it? Is it small, and what do we own around it? Is it open to expanding or reconfiguring it to make fit more spots in there?
Might be able to fit some more spots. We would have to check with housing on the water situation on it. Anything going towards the south, towards the open field, and that the tribe zone on there, that is actually was considered undevelopable because of the water level. The high water table right there in that field area. Timber area might be able to expand a little bit more for access there.
Carol?
Just want you to know that we're not blaming you. You inherited this, so we're just trying to correct it.
Jimmy?
Yeah. They were clearing out that road right next to it.
Correct.
Do they own that? Do we own that property?
Yeah.
Could you expand that way if?
That would be potentially the only way. We would just have to check with water and that and sewer and stuff.
That's
With
nice.
cuisine.
That's a nice area. You could leave some of them trees in there. I was just trying to think, there's a big, huge trailer right as you come in there now. That took a lot of room. That's where I sent a tribal member down there to see if he could rent that lot, and they told him no, it wasn't usable. Whoever, and then now they got that in there, so I'm just wondering.
Yes, I know that some of that area down there, where the shop and that is, it doesn't have like sewer hookups or anything to it. It's just the shop area back there. And there was a individual that was staying out there with their camper, but they were contained, and every every week they'd take it down to the RV dump site and clean it and keep a hold of all their gray water. But the timbered area is a potential for expansion. We could start planning that one and taking a look. Trying to move forward towards that other trailer that's back there. Do we own that?
Well, no, have you been down there lately?
I haven't been down there. I know where they all cleared out and everything.
As soon as you come in and right the very first,
Oh, the first lot there.
there's a big trailer in there.
Yes. Yes, Jason Miller just had leased that one out to, Jacob somebody, just recently. And that was just moved in there.
Yeah,
We've had
that's-
this issue when people are trying to get applications in there of where we, as the lands department was not involved originally.
Yeah.
At who got to be placed in there at all. It was just based off of bringing money in to be self-sufficient, and pay for its own bills when it was up in economic development.
So that new trailer got moved in at 375?
Yes, 375, because I don't think it has the garage or shed.
It's a huge trailer.
Go ahead, Martin.
Fifth wheel, isn't it?
I think
Big
that
fifth wheel.
before we decide to expand, we gotta remember that, you know, when we're looking at the casino and all the things, we got the Animal Crossing, there's cultural sites down there. So if we start deciding to go into the timber, let's be cognizant of that.
Go ahead, Tom.
I think the original purpose is a good one, that we would look at this site for, and as Mark mentioned, workforce development for Gray Wolf Peak Casino. Obviously, if there was some improvements there and you were to work with our folks across the street here for like 477 funding for workforce development, housing, that type of thing, there might be actually even some extra funds to put towards rebooting or making it a better site, or if it's allowed, an expansion, given what Martin said is very important. But we need to reboot this immediately as far as just fair market rentals. So I would urge the tribal council that we would initiate the 30-day clause for, at a minimum, giving notice that the rent's going up. And also that we would give preference to the workforce at Gray Wolf Peak Casino over anybody else to be there. And then, of course, tribal members would be that consideration. Given that we want to keep people in their houses, we want to provide homes. We have a shortfall. It's just incredible. It's a good asset to have, and I compliment council on inquiring it in the past. But I would stay the course. Let's update this thing. Thank you.
Is housing still looking for a place to install infrastructure? They were looking for 20 units. They have that?
Well, it's already there.
I know, but the expansion.
I think the expansion they were looking at wouldn't fit, given Martin's consideration for
Yeah.
the wildlife, nature, and site of that.
It was the only expansion that could really happen there. It's like maybe 2 acres in the timbered area right there. And that's the max footprint you can really put in there.
Motion by Carol to move forward with, what do you call it? With rent adjustment on, Gray Wolf Park. To okay,
I will motion that we proceed with recovering our
evicting.
Oriacan. I don't want to say evict either, but recover it for our tribal member use. And I don't know if you want to a rental adjustment, because those people should be gone while they're still there.
Well, that's a notice of eviction. Is that what you want?
$1,000 or a $700 rental adjustment
Okay,
while they're there. Or 800.
so just the rental increase, motion to move forward with the rental increase on Gray Wolf Park.
I want
Trails.
to say that we are recovering this for tribal member use.
With the intent to recover for tribal member use, Gray Wolf
Immediately.
Park, we are hoping, the motion is to increase rentals to
Fair market value,
fair market value.
which is $700 to $800. Or more.
Jimmy,
I think there is one tribal member in there. I mean, he's married to Joe Perry's daughter. Right. I think it's Michelle or something. He's a Michelle, works at Walmart. But he's in there. You know, but
Well, that's fine. They can stay there, but it's not.
he's the only one.
Tom,
Well, I think the fair market value would be adjusted for landowner consideration. So if you're a tribal member and you own the property, there would be a discount for landowners that would be tenants.
Similar to housing, what housing is charging. And descendants, I would consider descendant.
so the motion is the intent is to recover Gray Wolf Park for tribal member use through giving notice for increasing rentals to fair market value. And what was the last clause?
And if they're working at Gray. Oh, descendants. Descendants will have an opportunity.
For members and descendants, workforce development at Gray Wolf Casino. Well, that's a motion by Carol. Second by Jennifer. All in favor? Got 4, 5, 6, 7. Any opposed? Martin, I didn't. Okay, we got 8-4 and 2 abstaining, Bing and Martin abstaining.
And I'm just abstaining because I think we should always consider things before we do them, run it through legal, fair housing laws, things like that. Figure out who is actually in those before we start kicking people out, because then we get pushback and then the department looks bad because they're raising the rent because we told them to, and now we're gonna go back and do things that, because we're nice. So that's why I'm abstaining.
Well, the motion is prefaced by the intent to recover Gray Wolf Park for tribal use. Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah, the initial intent was to purchase that for tribal member use. And now we're into a situation where there's only maybe possibly one tribal member. So I think we're just trying to do what the money was intended to be used for our tribal members.
Go ahead, Bing.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The reason I'm saying is that I know they have a lot of people up there have children up there and going to school in RD, and also down, some of them probably going down to Frenchtown too, but, that's why I'm abstaining from it, because I just hate to see them guys just kicked out of there at this time of year, and, almost half the year's gone in school, so anyway, well, almost. But anyway, that's why I abstain.
Yeah, we'll draft up a letter and we'll actually have legal review it too before we bring back into council for signature.
And the active tool here is to move rentals to fair market value. That's the active tool, which is appropriate no matter how you look at it. Other things? Go ahead, Tom.
I think, Mr. Chair, Mark, I had posed a question to council this morning. We were looking at getting a discount for the water parks for our tribal members in Missoula. One of the parameters that would allow us to get the discount is if we own property within the city limits of Missoula. And so my question to you or your research, do we own property in the city limits? Did we have a house donated to us?
There is a couple on the tax rolls. I just can't place them right now out right where their location is. One of them does have a house on it.
Well, as long as we're property owners within the city limits, we qualify for the resident discount.
And I believe it is in the city limits. I'll have
Give
to
me that
check.
information. I can pass that on to the Missoula City Parks folks.
Okay.
Thank you.
Go ahead,
Another
Lynn.
comment from Mark. Mark, I also noticed that the tribes own property in Shelby. Can you find out more about that?
Yeah.
I've always seen it on our land status map. And I don't know if it's a city lot or if it's a house or what it was, but
Yeah, I'll have to look
Interesting
in
to know.
it because I don't know if it was a gift deed to the tribes or what it was, but I'll have a look at it.
Mr. Chair.
James.
So Len, you think somebody can live there and run for council? Just kidding.
Thank you, Mark.
Yes, no problem.
Renee and Chuck, come on up. Thanks for being patient.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right, Chairman, members of the council, we're here to seek approval to.
You're gonna have to use your top tab. You're on Joe
Oh,
Derlos. Go to your
There we
IT.
go. Thank you. Approval of this contract, it's the wireless portion of our fiber project. We put it out for RFP. We made our selection based on price, experience, and the timeframe. Worked out that we selected Turtle Island, who's actually doing the fiber portion as well. And I think that's going to be really good for the engineering and planning portion because we only have to point fingers at one person. So, and he knows where the fiber route's going, so he'll be able to plan and design where the wireless access points are at. Turtle Island, once again, they are a tribally owned company. They did agree to about everything. Governing law is our corp, so we're not going for any state. The contract amount is 4.7 million.
Comment. I would like to have representatives from the Turtle Mountain company to come in.
Turtle Island.
Turtle Island to come in and so we can discuss the project and because I have a lot of questions. I'm trying to get a better understanding of what services are going to be provided to the membership. How is this going to benefit the members? How is this also going, how are we going to utilize our ARPA towers with this project? Just questions like that. I'm getting a lot of those questions from the membership about this. I have no answers. Yeah, so if we can schedule time for them to come in.
Jordan did request that from me, and so we were looking at when they are in town, which would be October 21st or the 23rd. Then they could be here personally. If you guys want to schedule that, or I can schedule that for them to come in. I know there was some questions about Indian preference, how they were going to work with the tribal members on that. So we just figured that to have them here personally would be then, if that's fine with you guys.
So that's great. I would appreciate that, Renee. It's a $20 million contract. We need to have details
Yeah.
and timeframes.
Yeah,
And,
we'll,
and especially the Indian preference issue. Because there's a lot of opportunities for our contractors here for this, and we need to make sure that that they're included in this. So, but thank you, Renee.
I'll schedule that on the agenda.
So we're going to be putting up 50-foot poles around the reservation where we need RF propagation. And then also a 150 monopine out at the Kicking Horse complex. And this also includes putting gear on our 4 existing towers. So that's part of the design as well too. So this is all their proposal, their scope of work broke out and the dollar amounts, and we should be coming up to the total here. Yeah, so 4.6 is the not to exceed price.
James?
Yeah, Mr. Chair. So I know last time we came in, Chuck, we were looking at the different locations around the reservation and kind of the pathways that will be taken along Mission Valley Power lines. As we set up those towers that you're describing, how big is that dead zone underneath those towers? You know, is there gonna be, like, if you're putting it at Mission Dam home sites, you know, how many homes are potentially might be in that dead zone that's underneath that tower? Or are these towers gonna really have much of a dead zone? Like, you know, cause normally if you're right underneath that tower, you're not gonna have much of a reception. So are these gonna have any kind of way to alleviate that?
Yeah, so these 50-foot, at least 15 of it's going to be in the dirt, so they're not going to be super tall. And the gear we're putting on there shouldn't be affecting any of your cell coverage. So this is just for the wireless, that's the 2.5 gigahertz spectrum.
So so the circumference of a dead zone underneath that tower shouldn't affect any of the homes nearby, or?
No, it should not. And the good thing is we'll have our fiber at those locations, so we can also do fiber to the house down the road at some point as well too. So
if they happen to be in that dead zone, you could fiber to that home. Okay.
yeah, I can bring that to Turtle Island and
Yeah,
have them address that and get back to you.
Because I've had a couple friends and family over the years that have been like really fairly close to a cell tower. You couldn't get any service underneath of it, but once you were so many feet away out of that dead zone, you were great. But it seems kind of crazy that you'd be right next to a cell tower and no reception. So, and then the other question I have, along that pathway, you know, you're going from your distribution point to Mission Dam home sites is what I'm thinking of. Are any of those homes along that route able to tap into the service? You know, you know, your delivery point is Mission Dam home sites, but along that pathway, is there opportunity for those homes along the pathway to tap into cell service or Wi-Fi service or internet service as well?
Yes, there'll be opportunity for anybody along the path to tap into the service. Either right now we're shooting for wireless using that 2.5 spectrum that the tribe owns. At a later point, we can actually type in, pop out a fiber and run fiber to the house or DSL or however we want to handle that, an ONT even. So there'll be opportunities down the road.
Carol?
I'm wondering, what's the difference between what this is and what Access Montana's doing? Because they seem to be laying a lot of fiber. And the other thing is I got a grandson who works for them and does a lot of work. And so I'm wondering about hiring process. Are these people bringing in all these people or an equipment? Or will our people have an opportunity to be the frontline supervisors and whatever else on these projects?
Are you asking?
I don't know what
During-
I'm asking. I'm not an IT person at all. Sorry.
Our prime on this contract is working with local companies to do the actual work, the construction work. IT has reached out to Access Montana. I need to get an NDA over to them, to discuss like a future partnership with them. We did talk with Jay, he came down to Renee's office and he's aware of the project. And we're trying to find ways to not be competitors. And, none of us really like Spectrum, but that's probably about the best service in the valley at the moment. So we're not trying to force out Access Montana. And we're also working with discussions with Blackfoot Communications, seeing what type of partnership we will have, like actually being the ISP at some point. So.
Because I know they have a lot of equipment at Access Montana, but anyway,
Yeah, there's going to be some duplication of a service. Access Montana is really interested in West Shore. So they've already kind of agreed to lease some fiber from us down the road to provide services up around East Shore. Blackfoot would like to get all the way up to Kalispell as well. So we're trying to partner with these local companies, not compete with them. We're going to compete with them at some point, but, try working some type of partnership.
Martin?
Was the changing of poles with MVP part of the original budget? And are we looking at overruns because of that?
So right now the crews are collecting the pole data. There was no pole replacement in the original budget. So we might have to eat some of our contingency budget for that. But we've already talked to MVP. If we identify any poles pretty much in the next 2 weeks that need replacement, they'll get it on their schedule for next year. But besides that, they don't have the bandwidth to replace a lot of poles. So if we got a span of say 5 poles, we might have to go underground at that point. So we're going to have to be flexible in that.
Renee, do we know if there's any other tribes that have completed their NTAI projects that we can?
Not that I know of. Are you aware of any?
That would be, yeah, I'm just curious to know so we can take a look to see what the finished product look like and what kind of services are being provided to the membership on that. So.
I think a lot of those people who have got the grants, there were a lot of different needs that they were getting. I don't know if there was anything specifically just like ours.
Okay. All I know is it was supposed to provide broadband to Indian country.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
it was just something similar. And then you mentioned that we have a contingency fund.
well, written into the grant, there's always a contingency fund.
All right, that's good. That's good to know. So who is our coordinator for all this? Would that be you, Chuck? Are you the one that's gonna be keeping us apprised of?
So far, yes. So, this contract, when I submitted it for it still has Lisa's name on it. So Michael has got the master, you remember who you put in there, Michael? Yeah, so it's me.
You did hire,
Okay. All right, it's good to know. Thank you, Mike. Thank you for stepping up, Chuck.
Sensi is the general contractor, and what was the fellow's name, Mike? Say again? Larry Krubel. Thank you.
Larry is part of the Essentia contract that we had for project management. He's the one who's helped Chuck and all of us.
I just
along the way.
wanted to get on the record, so. Tom?
Yeah, thank you. No, go ahead, Carol.
Say, you know, Amron does work on some of this broadband stuff, and his name is Felix McGowan. He's a tribal member from Fort Peck, but he lives in Coeur d'Alene. I don't know if you want to reach out to him to see what what kind of stuff he has available, but I don't know. He's a pretty good guy. Mike went to school with him, and he's really top notch too. I don't know what he would do, but it'd be nice to just reach out to him, I think, so he'd know what's available through him, through Amron.
Good, Tom.
I know where the monopine's going, but these other 50-foot towers, I don't know. Where are they going and how many of them are there?
I believe they put in for up to 20, but currently the low-level design's not finalized yet. They're gonna have to come out here and actually get their equipment on the ground and, blast out the signal and do the maps and figure out exactly where we need to place them. But
I mean, there should be clearance and all that, right? Cultural clearance.
yes, the environmental assessments were already done, so we're good on that. And then also we are keeping the cultural committees involved. So, but they'll be along the fiber route. And I think they're kind of estimating anywhere, at least 9 of these little 50-foot poles around.
So these will go into public right of way, or they'll be going on tribal land with the new easement?
We are submitting, we have a application for where we would like to put these locations at, and then we're submitting them to lands. So they can find an area that's going to be on tribal land within a certain radius of where we want it at. So.
Other questions? Get it done. Motion by Martin to proceed with the contract. Have a second? Second by Tom. All in favor? I think we're unanimous with Jennifer out of the room.
No, I vote yes.
Okay, we're unanimous. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, appreciate that. I also going to take advantage of this time with you guys. Holly had asked me to get you guys' approval to share tribal land owner information with our contractor, which we do have a NDA in place with Turtle Island. We need to send out postcards, letting them know that we're going to be coming around, and we just need the addresses. If there's any The individual landowners is kind of easy to find because of Montana cadastral, but we need our data, our shape files to throw along into GIS along our route to figure out whose land we're all passing through, actually we needed the addresses. So Holly had asked because of the workload if we could have our contractor do that. So I'm asking permission to share that landowner information with my contractor.
Is there any objection to sharing the landowner information with the contractor who has a non-disclosure agreement in place? I think we're good, Chuck. Or do you want a motion?
I guess that will do. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Can we go into executive?
We will go out of regular into executive.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, council members. So the first action item we have is the Siegel property resolution.
Motion, Mr. Chair.
Motion by James to move forward with the Siegel property resolution. Second by Bing. All in favor? I got. Okay. We're unanimous.
Okay, then the second action item, Mr. Chairman, council members, we have is submitting the gaming letter for getting the gaming compact approved or federal approval of the gaming compact.
Motion by Carol, second by Jimmy. All in favor? We're unanimous again.
Right. I think they did consent.
And we will recess for lunch.
John, did you see how many Tampa Bay Lightning were in
1
the
o'clock.
penalty box? Like 9.
I think we're ready to go, Joe. Good afternoon.
Joe, your microphone.
St. Joseph's staff are not here, so we'll go forward with the resolution and then hopefully they show up here shortly. First item is we're asking for tribal council approval of a grant resolution. This is tied to the solar power project that we've visited with you several times about down in St. Ignatius. The design work is done. John and Julie can fill you in on it. Design work is done. I think they've gone out to bid for contractors. And now they're at a point where they can actually put a hard price to the cost of the proposal, the grant award that they're awarding us. Again, no cost to us. They're going to install a solar power project down at Tribal Health. It will be a backup system to existing power, our generator, then we'll have an additional backup utilizing solar power. So this is that project. John or Julie, if you could kind of walk through the process and then the resolution that we're asking council action on.
Okay, yeah, Joe, our tribal council, I'll kind of go over read over a little analysis that they had done so far. The document summary of the resilient power system analysis for the St. Ignatius Health Center. The analysis identifies a configuration of solar power and battery backup to complement the existing 55 kW generator to support the facility during extended power outages. Direct Relief has offered to install a resilient power system estimated to offset 10% of the energy needed for the clinic building and save the clinic $10,500 in utility bill in first year. Increase each year as utility rates escalate. The proposed system is designed to provide backup power to the load already on the existing generator, along with the HVAC, and supports the southern wing of the building with a minimum of 4 hours of backup power and typically 27 plus hours of the backup power throughout the year without the generator. Direct Relief has also offered to pay for a portion of the operation and maintenance expenses for the first 5 years. The system is in operation at 28,500. Installation of the proposed is 912,000. 73 kW carport solar and 300 kW 558 kW battery will be at no cost to St. Ignatius Healthcare. So that's part of just the first part of the analysis where they started up a little summary. I'll turn it over to Julie for going through the resolution.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks, Joe. So just to provide also a little bit more context around Direct Relief, they are a nonprofit organization that has a history of supporting communities during emergency response. And so they, from their work, they established this program where they are working with tribal communities to set up solar projects to support energy efficiency and increase resources available in case of emergencies, so in support of emergency planning. And so they are offering this unrestricted operational support grant to install a solar carport at the St. Ignatius Clinic. And so the grant would be providing almost $950,000 for the construction of the carport. And then that would also include operational maintenance 5 years after installation, and that would all be covered under the grant through Direct Relief as well. And we feel like this is a good fit as this effort would align with the tribal resolution number 23-016, which is related to integrating resource sustainability and climate change mitigation and adaptation measures throughout tribal government operations. And so we feel installing this solar carport is in alignment with that resolution.
Ready to hear that? See in the chat, Martin has the question, what is the snow load?
So, Mr. Chairman, if you recall, our first visit here, we talked about installing it on the roof. Had some concerns about the load of that, the capacity of that roof to hold it. So at your suggestion, we explored creating carports. So that's the route we took. So these will be little carports kind of out in the bullpen area that will have the solar panels out there. So that will not impact the roof at all. We will build the solar panels in carport style at the bullpen. They will run over to the battery system over by the generator, kind of on the back side of the St. Ignatius Clinic, and then be installed into the, I guess, the network or the infrastructure through that particular port.
There are questions? James?
You need a motion?
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by James, second by Tom. All in favor? You're in favor, Lynn? I think we are unanimous.
Very good. John or Julie, do you have a time frame kind of when we can expect things to start moving and when proposed completion date might be?
Yeah, we are currently working with Direct Relief on that timeline. So the projection would be towards the end of the summer next year is when construction could be potentially complete.
Okay. All right. So we're looking at end of summer 26 for completion of that carport.
Any other questions on the carport? The installation of solar on St. Ignatius Clinic. James.
Yeah, it's good to see that we're starting to slowly get some of our buildings with some solar attachment and such, so it'd be good to see us getting some of our individual homes as well at some point.
Here we go. There we go. Right on time.
Come on in. Good afternoon.
Thanks for coming. We'll get you a chair. This way.
Well, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce the part of the executive team or administrative team from St. Joseph's Hospital. Carol is the new, what position?
Chief Administrative Officer.
Chief Administrative Officer. She's been on the job for a short window here. Wanted to take the chance to introduce her to you or have her introduce herself. Megan and Yep, Megan and Aaron are also part of the administrative team at St. Joseph's. So we've been communicating or talking to St. Joseph's pretty regularly over the last year or two. Had a chance to meet Carol when she interviewed for the position and when they brought her on board. So important partner for us in the community. Thought we would introduce her and give her a chance to talk to you kind of about what her goals and objectives are and introduce yourself. So, Carol. Yep. Yeah, you just push the button.
Fantastic. You can hear me now. Thank you for the invitation to attend. I just want to start with an acknowledgement statement, if I can, from Providence. We respectfully acknowledge that we occupy the traditional homelands of the Salish, Kootenai, and Sanka peoples, and that there are many other nations who have long called the area of Montana home. We offer deep appreciation to the ancestors who fill our world with their presence and for their descendants who live amongst us today. We acknowledge the oppression of the Indigenous peoples and commit to ongoing awareness and education about its impact to their health and well-being. We open our hearts and minds to respond with meaningful action in our work of providence so that we may grow and become whole together. So thank you. I'm Carol Perdames. I am so honored and humbled to be with you today. I'm joined with my colleagues today, Megan Beard, Aaron Rummelhart. Megan serves as our director of our foundation, and Aaron is our director of nursing as well as our clinical operations director. A little bit about myself. I've been with Providence since February of 2025. I've been in healthcare in Montana for almost 30 years now. It seems like a long time. Been able to serve in positions around the state in Bozeman, Great Falls. And when the opportunity with Providence came forward, I felt an urge to apply for it and look at the position here in Polson. Humbly selected to come on board and help guide the team and be a part of a bigger vision within Providence, but also knowing that we are among an area where we will collaborate and work together with all the people within the Polson, Lake County, and Flathead area and region. About myself, I grew up in Western North Dakota on a cattle ranch. My dad was a Angus farmer, or Angus, he grew Angus cattle, and he farmed and grew wheat and barley and all the things. And I grew up riding horse, but I knew I was called to healthcare to serve. I felt like I wanted to fix and leave things better than I found them. I also grew up in a rural community, so also understood the pinch points of what happens in rural communities related to healthcare and how difficult those services can be. So having this opportunity now kind of full circle to come back into a more rural community has been really fulfilling and rewarding for me personally. And so I'm just honored to serve with this team and the partners around this table. I want to thank Joe. He's been in tribal health, Dr. Bernadette Coram, and many others that have made my journey here so much easier along the way and helped really give me a good understanding of what priorities need to be as we go forward so that we can collaborate in a stronger fashion and bring healthcare in a meaningful way to the community and to the area. It's been exciting to be here the last, I guess, 8 months now, 9 months. It feels like home already. We have a lot of great things that we are doing with Providence St. Joe's Medical Center here locally. While we're part of one of 2 hospitals within the Montana service area, we're part of the St. Pat's system and part of a larger division for Providence. We run and locally operate pretty independently. We have a local community needs assessment that we do and to understand how best to serve the community. So based on that, and Megan will say probably this has started many years ago, we developed a plan to expand our rural health clinic presence and bring more primary care to the area as a way to serve those who are most vulnerable. And that is part of our core mission statement. So with that, this last summer, we broke ground on a new rural health clinic space so that we could bring on 3 additional primary care providers as well as expand our behavioral health program. I know under the guidance of Tribal Health, both Joe, Dr. Coram, Dr. Fox, behavioral health is a key and important component for the area in which we serve, and it is an expanding need. So in partnership with Tribal Health, we hope to expand that partnership in a way that makes sense, but we do need to bring people in to help serve the many who are underserved as well. So our goal with the Rural Health Clinic and that opening is to have it completed. Concrete was going down today, which was pretty exciting. A lot of dirt has been moved on the space. It is in its current footprint. It's to the west of our assisted living and in between the Boys and Girls Club in Polson, if you know where that's at. We hope to be open in the fall of 2026. I never say an exact date because that always makes me nervous with construction. But that is the goal. That's phase 1 of the plan. Phase 2, with the expansion of the Rural Health Clinic, will allow us to expand our ED presence because we have a growing demand for emergency care and our imaging services as well. And that we are still in the throes of the planning and development for that and the fundraising for that. This has been a truly community-involved project. There's been much community involvement and donor funding to help us get where we are today. The initial project, the community independently so far has raised $14+ million, and our goal is $18 million. We're in that public fundraising phase right now, and Providence is committed to supporting a big chunk of that as well. So I wanted to give you an update there. The next thing that has been exciting and somewhat nerve-wracking for us is the changes to what's happening at the federal level with OBBBA, as some people call it, or HR 1. There is a component of that tends to slim down a little bit of Medicaid access and enrollment, and that affects more than 10,000 people here in our area. We've been vocal in our advocacy around that from a Providence perspective this last year. We've been partnering with people like Tribal Health, with Joe and others, with Dr. Anna Sorrell, with Montana Hospital Association to be active and represent and hopefully speak in a positive way to be able to ensure that our community members, our neighbors can get care that they need within the Lake County area and not have barriers from an administrative level that we need for access to care. So the next phase of that is what we're embarking on is the Rural Health Transformation Funds phase, where it is a $50 billion fund that the federal government will allay to each of the states in different fashions, and that should be awarded before the end of the year. Montana, as a state, submits a grant application for it, and then we submit to the state for funding. Providence, with partners, and we hope to have a collaborative approach with Montana Hospital Association, Tribal Health, ourselves, to ensure that we're asking for the right types of funds to fund programs that we need here locally. So that'll be a kind of a fast and furious turnaround for us. And I invite input and guidance from this team as well on the best way to represent for our area. Lastly, I guess, you know, the biggest thing that I want to know and ask for guidance on another level as well, how best we can partner with Tribal Health through the Tribal Council's guidance. Although we are in discussions, I think things change all the time. We want to ensure we're good partners in the community, and we have open conversations. So I guess coming here today, I'm also seeking for input and guidance on maybe what we can do more of or less of to help support your communities that you serve as well. And can I ask my team members if they have anything else they would like to input at this time?
Sure.
Push back.
I was very excited back in July to come introduce myself, and I want to say thank you to those of you that came to join us for the groundbreaking. It was wonderful and exciting day for us up at St. Joe's. So as she mentioned, we're now reaching the public phase of our fundraising campaign, and one of my hopes for speaking with you guys today was that we might get a little guidance. I would humbly like to ask your advice. We were given some advice that the council's support of our campaign would be very important in our community. And I would humbly ask your advice for what that would look like. I know with other campaigns in our community, a letter has been a really wonderful way to express support if it is something that you guys are behind. But we weren't really sure what to ask. And so I wanted to just open that up to you if any of you have any thoughts or guidance on what would be the best way to ask for your support.
Go ahead, Carol.
Everybody's really talkative today, huh? I would say a letter of support would be good if Joe could draft that up and get it prepared for us to, yeah, be happy to do that. That's usually how we do it.
That was the advice we were given, but I never want to assume that
Yeah.
everybody knows the right text. So thank you.
I'd like to go back to my original question as well. As partners in the community delivering healthcare or serving your constituents, how can we best partner with anyone living in our communities to deliver healthcare in the most succinct fashion? Are we missing the mark on anything? Like how can we collaborate more, better, often? As Joe mentioned, we meet quarterly to discuss from a tribal health Providence perspective initiatives where we're already maybe sharing services or collaborating, but often it's good to hear from other people around that as well. So I would just pause to see if anybody would have any input for us on what we could do to be a better partner.
Carol, and then.
Yeah, I know we do.
James?
Cool. Were you calling on me? Oh, yeah. I know we do collaborate on things like medications for drugs to help with, like, I don't know if it's Suboxone or those kind of things. Because I used to be associated with the Lake County Drug Court. Now we have the Healing Court here. And so I know that they work closely with you on some of that. But I think what would be helpful, Joe Derglow, is maybe you sit down with staff and find out some of the missing links. I'm sure you've heard of things that maybe might be lacking on our part, or, we're not collaborating close enough. And that's probably the best way to get the information. I know some council members probably have some issues that, they've dealt with that, probably could work a little smoother. But I can't think of anything right offhand. I've had a couple of issues like with, St. Pat's and things, but usually I call the man in charge and let him know. And so I think it'd be best if, Joe, you could collaborate with your staff and find out if there's anything in particular that we should be working harder or closer together.
I think it's the usual suspects, referrals. We have the advantage that we're in Epic, and St. Joseph's utilizes Epic as a tool. So that kind of helps alleviate some of those challenges that we might face with other facilities. And the paid care program. We continue to use the FI, trying to navigate kind of their rules and regulations to pay bills. St. Joseph's sends claims, kind of goes through a process. So I think there can be improvements, and maybe working with St. Joe's to fine tune that process might help us expand that to other facilities. Somehow, there's a significant portion of our population that have lived here forever, end up getting turned into collections when we know they're eligible. They just haven't, I guess the word is updated, which is hard. So I think there may be some ways to improve that process, and then maybe expand that to other facilities. So paid care makes me go gray every day. There's some complaint about the process, or something gets lost in that interaction between us, and we've got to figure out a way to do it better. And then our partners certainly have some responsibilities and commitments, so we've got to figure out how to get them paid if they're eligible to be paid, and it's a authorized claim. Yeah. I did want to speak to maybe the communications we've had over the last month, or maybe longer than that, last couple of months. Aaron and Dr. Bagnell took the time out of their schedules to drive over to Helena to shake hands and twist arms when we were trying to support the Medicaid expansion carryover. So really appreciate them taking time to do that. Certainly, I think it had impact, not just all the tribal voices, but all of our community partners were kind of supporting that effort. So I think in large part, because of that collaboration, it was successful in getting there. So really appreciate that. And then again, talking about the impacts of you called it the OBB, one big beautiful bill, or one ugly bill, whatever people call it. I'm trying to navigate the changes as a result of that. We've been communicating about that. And then there's this opportunity that's in front of us, the rural transformation program, I think. So we're trying to figure out the best way to approach that with a really short turnaround to be responsive to that. So I think there's some ideas that we both have. I think it's important for us to work with our partners because we're all kind of have the same mission. We'll improve access, improve health outcomes for our community. I think we have a shared vision for that. Yeah, anyway.
Thank you, Joe. I would add to that. We appreciate so much having the tribal health voice around the table during those calls. One part of advocacy that I think has been missing on the Montana Hospital Association level for many years is a tribal health link. And so having involvement with the Montana Hospital Association and keeping the voices of people like Joe, Dr. Quorum, Dr. Anna Sorrell, people around the table that can advocate. And so we're not speaking for you, right? And when we recently met with our president of the Montana Hospital, he acknowledged that as well. Ed Buttrey said, yes, we need to fix this and do better. And how are we going to do that? So Part of the things, if we can be the convener and make sure that continues to happen, I feel like that's a part of my role here with Providence and within the community that I'm serving. So I'm excited. That's actually one of the reasons that I was drawn to come here and be part of this organization, was to help convene and connect in that way. So I think we have a huge opportunity. And then through potential granting or finance through the Rural Health Transformation Fund, there are several priorities that I believe we align perfectly with, whether it's technology, expanding behavioral health service, looking at workforce. There's creative ways that we can come together and represent and build a stronger product, if you will, at the end of the day, if we are closely aligned on all those initiatives. So that's part of what's exciting to me about this relationship. While it's new to me, it's probably not new to many of you in the community. I just feel renewed energy around it. And with that too, I guess for me personally and being in this role, is there anything I can do to help be a stronger voice for either the council, tribal health, with the broader Providence system itself? Is there any way that you would want us to be stronger for you?
James and then Carol. Yeah, James.
Thank you. I have a lot of different things I can advise you to consider. One is on November 1st, the Affordable Care Act subsidies is going to go away. And so people that are working, whether they're travel or non-travel, they're going to immediately feel that impact from this current administration. And so in addition to the Medicaid issues, so that's one that's on top of everything else in our community. But related to some of the issues you brought up in terms of Native American healthcare, you know, I've always been a strong advocate for us figuring out what that looks like economically in the healthcare industry in Montana. And we know anecdotally it's a huge amount, but that's about all we can come up with. So I think, you know, you coming and asking for our thoughts and interacting with Joe and Tribal Health is a huge step. And it's good to hear that there's some acknowledgement on the association level that there needs to be more inclusion in that regard. You know, if you think of a place like Billings, they have the Indian Health Service, and Crow, Cheyenne, all the different tribes over there utilize the healthcare facilities there quite a bit. And for us, Missoula, your hospital, you know, Ronan, Kalispell. And I think it's important to realize that, you know, Native patients aren't just a patient, but they have economics that comes behind their healthcare. And they shouldn't be treated any less than anyone else. So that's one thing that's in my mind. The other thing that's come up quite often is that, you know, when we talk about people that are with substance use disorder or mental health issues, I just dealt with one last week where we had a young person that got into some sort of drug but was completely out of it. And, you know, how does that family, who do they reach out to? Reach out to law enforcement to kind of help with an addiction or mental health issue. They're not equipped with that. But the family in that instance, that was what they were left with. And so there's no mental health or addiction 911 that you can call and help me with my loved one. They're out of control. What can we do except call the police? And so they get put in jail, you know, and then the family's expecting, okay, maybe there'll be a mental health evaluation, or maybe there'll be a drug something evaluation, substance use disorder evaluation. And this isn't just, I think it's across the board with all the different law enforcement. It's not tribal law enforcement only. It's, I think the county, you know, the sheriff's department gets a call, they go show up and they have this person that's, you know, with suffering from mental health, addiction, or a combination of things. And the people are expecting okay, the cops got my loved one, they take them and they put them in jail, but that's not a good thing for that person. It often compounds their issues. And so I think if there was some creative ways that the healthcare delivery system could figure out where maybe those gaps are in terms of, you know, mental health, you mentioned mental health services and addiction issues, you know, those are issues that they have no regard for race or income. You know, and so I think if there's ways that you could creatively think about how do we improve those particular services for some of the most vulnerable populations in our community, and also one of the ones that has the most stigma. You know, I worked with the TOR program a little bit, and one of the things we did was stigma training for healthcare folks. You know, we had a nurse, not from your facility, but she said, "Why do you guys keep Narcanning these people? They keep coming back, and then we got to do the same thing with them." I said, "Well, if we don't give them Narcan, they're not alive to be able to give an opportunity to be in recovery." And so, you know, there's kind of this mindset with healthcare professionals that, you know, and I get it. They deal with a lot of things and stress and all of that, but you know, if they're not alive, we can't get them in recovery. And so that was one instance with that particular nurse that we had to have just kind of an understanding. Say, we want them alive to be able to give them a chance to recover. That's why we're providing Narcan for our young people and our people, not just young people, anyone. But I think I appreciate you mentioned the Native aspect in the overall association. I think that's a voice that's not just we need to be a part of, but all the tribes in Montana and healthcare providers in Montana, Native healthcare providers in Montana, tribal health offices, maybe Indian health as well, because they put a lot of healthcare dollars into our Montana healthcare economy. And another young person he got put into the hospital, but he's dealing with addiction, had some infections, but it was kind of nice from that particular hospital. Got a little card in the mail, and it had all of the different little signatures from the people that helped him out in the ER, and he was like, "Oh, kind of nice," you know. So I think those little things, customer service for people, not just our Native people, but absolutely for them as well, I think is important, because it's nervous for anybody to go into a hospital, particularly people with substance use disorder. You know, they'll come in, I don't want to see everybody see me with all of my, you know, the scabs or whatever they got with them. And so when they walk into that environment, having somebody that's friendly and doesn't treat them any different, but treats them like a human being is so important. And that's for all of us, whether, no matter who we are. We always remember the place we went and we got bad service, and you remember that at the hospital as well. And so apologize for my ramblings, but I appreciate you working on communicating with us. Coming to visit is such a huge thing and important. So I appreciate that you're visiting with Tribal Health regularly. Those are good things to do. But also it's important to maybe hear from some of the Native patients that you have, you know, just maybe sit down, talk with them and say, "Hey, how was your experience?" I'm sorry, I'm going off track, but you know, when you go to a restaurant, the manager will come around and say, "How was your steak this evening?" I know it's a different thing. I'm sorry, Carol. But you know, went to Texas Roadhouse and the manager come around. "Oh, well, how was your food this?" "Well, it was great. It was amazing," you know. So sometimes that might help, you know, see a patient out there. "Well, how's your day going? And what What are you here for? Or whatever you're supposed to do under the HIPAA rules or not do. All right, thank you, council. Sorry, everyone, for rambling.
Yeah, Carol and then Tom.
Yeah, James, you don't ramble at all. I love listening to him because he has so much history. But you know, our relationship, I think, has really evolved from the day back when, you know, you could light a sweetgrass and people think you're smoking pot or smoking, and now this day and age, hospitals recognize the spiritual and the cultural aspects of Native American people, and being able to do that for our loved ones means everything to us, and it helps their journey. So I just want to say how much I appreciate all the hospitals that have really taken the time for the institutional knowledge to be given to them and accepting, and then now allowing us to be able to practice when we do have a loved one in the hospital. It means everything to our people. And, you know, I used to hear complaints about, you know, St. Pat's or even Logan, and is it Logan and Kalispell? Yeah. You know, about the larger hospitals, but you don't really hear that anymore. And I think it's because our healthcare workers are more accepting of, you know, who lives around them and, you know, what's going on. And so I just want to say, and also just you being in the room today means a lot. I mean, it really represents very much to all of us to say that they're willing to come and talk to us and let us know that Joe can do better. Joe does really well. We appreciate all the work, but it's not, healthcare is not easy, and he's kind of a Superman in a big show, you know, and there's a lot to do and a lot to learn, and hopefully he has the experts, and I notice he's bringing a lot more people in to help him. So anyway, thank you for being here today. It means everything.
Thank you. I just want to acknowledge what Councilman Steele had said as well. I think creating spaces, I use the term frictionless, where you can come in and things go easily. We're not there yet. We want to get there, and we have a lot of work to do. We also want to create spaces where everybody has a sense of belonging so that they see themselves when they walk into the building as being a part of that, so they can trust our caregivers. And it would make their whole experience a lot better. So whether we're building a new building or we're starting a new program, we're being very thoughtful about all those things. I don't know how it was done in the past, but at least with me, I want to be very thoughtful about those things and ensure that's incorporated in every step of the way to improve, because we can always improve on what we're doing. So good feedback is helpful to get to a better level of care that we're striving for. And then in closing, I just want to say thank you again for inviting us to the entire tribal council, to each councilman, councilwoman, Chairman Dolson. Thank you. Thank you, Joe Durillo, for being such a good community partner. He's doing wonderfully. I appreciate my conversations. And I appreciate being around the table with this, I call them a team. It's just a wonderful team to be a part of. So in the future, if there's anything we can do, do not hesitate. We have an active advisory council that we meet with, and that reports up to our mission board. So if anybody wants to participate in that, we're always looking for membership. It's another good way to be a part of what, you know, be on the forefront of what you're hearing and what we're doing, as well as provide feedback to us continually. So thank you for that.
I think Tom had something.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Carol, great to meet you. And Megan and Aaron, good to see you again. I've had children and grandchildren born at St. Joseph Hospital. And I've known many physicians there. And I had a real close, call her an auntie, that worked at that hospital for a long time. My dad's cousin, Tom McDonald from Nirada, his wife worked there forever. And that was the first time, even though the small hospital in Ronan where I grew up, I knew a lot of the folks there. And going to that hospital the first time, where I can't remember what the reason was, but having faculty or staff that knows the community and welcomes people and knows them and shepherds them through whatever's there. That was an experience that still stands in my mind. And the follow-up from I guess a family member that worked at the hospital. Ann McDonald was her name. She was a nurse there forever, long time. And then knowing Dr. Binkelman and the family that's there, just a lot of really good feelings about that. But I want to go back to the Texas Roadhouse that James brought up. A lot of times, you know, the different facilities that I've gone to over my life and family members, whether it's the old community hospital that got sold out, or it was, you know, going to St. Pat's or St. Luke's or you know, Missoula Bone and Joint or whatever. One of the most impressive things to me is having follow-up calls, having that relationship where, hey, yeah, you just had this experience, you know, we're checking on you. You know, what can we do? And but that consideration is pretty nice, and it doesn't occur in all of our health clinics or health facilities, and so it's really refreshing to have that. Really important. I think, you know, having our local hospitals and clinics is critical because, you know, I was just recently a statistic. It was about, I think, when we're talking about Montana, is the distance from your healthcare is a critical factor on how long you're going to live. And so, you know, being able to provide services locally, but provide those services that not at extra cost, hopefully that even at a lower cost. But even if it was, and that's one thing I always worry about is what can we afford to provide locally? Because we have such a small population. That doesn't cost us more and bankrupt us. You know, does a hospital cost us? Is it possible to provide this service at this local facility in a way that is affordable for everybody? So that's critical. That's always critical when I see expansions. Okay, can this hospital afford it? Can we afford it in our tribal health facilities? Can Joe afford it, providing this service in-house? Versus going someplace else where there's more people doing it and we can bring down the cost. And is that a relationship to this distance to healthcare? But the most critical thing for me is that you guys already talked about, and that's what are we doing about getting together and fighting back to this oppressive nature of not wanting Medicare or Medicaid, especially Medicaid. How is this going to translate into loss of financial stability to our local institutions? And so if we are all one voice saying Medicaid expansion is what we need continued Medicaid support, we need more Medicare for our elders, we need this, we need that, we need more for our Indian Health Service, for our clinics and the tribes. We need to have that as a unified voice. And that collaboration that you're providing, going over to Helena, what a great thing. But that needs to be more. They need to hear more from us. Our local politicians, our national politicians, you know, this guy that sits at the White House needs to understand it's not about billionaires. It's about us in rural Montana and on rural reservations. And how do we provide care for our people and not have this oppressive nature of it's just about the rich. So I appreciate your work. Appreciate the expansive. Hopefully in digging the ground up there, you didn't uncover anything. I always worry about that. You know, especially there, I think there's in that old facility, there's you know, there's a cemetery right there. And, yeah. So anyway, appreciate your work. It's great to get to know you. Thank you.
Thank you. One comment. I wanted to say that we really do fight the cost of healthcare, not each other. So affordability is a big piece of what we do. And to know too that Providence as a system is fighting back against our payers. They're one of a collective of Catholic health systems that are actually suing payers that aren't paying in order to ensure that we can keep delivering care in an affordable fashion. Because that is a real problem right now for us, and we do want to sustain in the community and be here for hundreds of more years to come, right? So I appreciate that comment. It hits close to home.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Carol, Megan, Aaron, Joe. You guys bit off a lot with this. We've got a lot of
Thanks, Tom.
obstacles to overcome. The teammates hit on a lot of those things, especially the rural areas. No insurance, no Medicaid, no transportation, no access to prescriptions because of how far they've got to travel, or even after hours, access to prescriptions. Not a lot of 24-hour pharmacies in the area. It's kind of hard to get medicine at times, but no, truly appreciate what you guys are doing here today. And then I also want to thank members of your team. The last 2 years, I've had the privilege to work with them on our MMIP 5K awareness run, and they've just been great. They've done it for 3 years. I'm looking forward to the fourth year upcoming. But Aaron, Shannon, Mariah, Shelby, and I'm sure there's more behind the scenes working, but I truly appreciate those efforts and that help. That event wouldn't happen without your team. So thank you, guys.
Well, thank you, Carol,
Thank you.
Megan, Aaron, and Tom says the furthest you are from healthcare, the sooner you're gonna die. So I think he gave me the death sentence. So welcome and
Thank you.
glad to see you and have a good rest
Thank
of
you
your
for
day.
Thank you for your time.
That's our agenda.